Grand Admiral Krax stood on the observation deck of his flagship, Inevitable Victory, a massive vessel extending 17 kilometers from stem to stern. His forearms were clasped behind him. All 6 eyes narrowed, focused on the blue-green marble suspended in the void. Such a pitiful little planet. So much water, so little usable land. The creatures crawling upon it barely met the hegemony's sentience criteria. Well, look at that, Commander Vax, they still utilize combustion engines. Combustion. I haven't seen those outside of a museum since my hatching. Krax's mandibles clicked together in what passed for colossal laughter. Commander Vax, a lithe figure with metallic blue skin that seemed to shimmer with each movement, stepped forward. Indeed, Grand Admiral, their technology is rudimentary. Our sensors detect nuclear fission plants, basic satellite networks, and simple computer systems. No quantum entanglement communication, no antimatter power generation, and certainly no FTL capability. Perfect, Krax rumbled, his voice like grinding stones. Absolutely perfect. The High Council couldn't have chosen an easier target for my 30,000th conquest. He waved one clawed hand dismissively. Prepare the standard pre-invasion protocol, atmospheric intimidation display, orbital bombardment of their military sites, minimize civilian casualties, we need laborers for the mines, and then landing operations in their most populated regions. The expansive viewscreen shifted to display tactical overlays of Earth's continents. Red indicators marked military installations, government centers, and other strategic locations. There were so many. These humans seemed obsessed with internal conflict. How amusing, Krax mused. Vax, you know what's truly hilarious about these primitive species? Krax didn't wait for a response. They always think they're unique in the universe. Even with all those stars visible from their homeworlds, they convinced themselves they're special, the only ones. Krax turned from the view screen, his massive form casting long shadows across the polished obsidian floor. The bridge crew, a collection of conquered species serving their colossal masters, kept their heads down, intensely focused on their duties. No one wanted to draw the Grand Admiral's attention during one of his moods. Sir, initial scans complete, reported Lieutenant Grail, her tendrils twitching nervously as data streamed across her console. Approximately 8 billion sentients, primarily carbon-based bipeds. Their most advanced weapons appear to be fusion bombs with rudimentary delivery systems. Estimated resistance level, Category 2. Category 2? Krax's head snapped around, his neck frills flaring in surprise. You're being generous, Lieutenant. I'd rate them a 1.5 at best. He paused, then threw his head back with a booming laugh. Oh, this will be glorious. I might actually be home for the hatching festival this cycle. Outside the viewports, the rest of the invasion fleet began to move into position, 100 colossal ships, each capable of devastating an entire continent. Standard procedure for a species this underdeveloped. The hegemony didn't believe in fair fights. They believed in efficiency. Begin the countdown, Krax ordered, settling into his command throne. And someone fetch me a stimulant beverage. I want to be fully alert when these humans realize just how insignificant they truly are in the grand scheme of the universe. Little did Grand Admiral Krax know, but this particular insignificant species was about to impart upon him the most crucial lesson of his long, conquering existence. The galactic hegemony hadn't always been the terror of the known universe. Once, the Crossel had been confined to their homeworld, Krylia Prime, a barren, hostile rock orbiting a dying star. Their evolution in such harsh conditions had forged them into a tough, resourceful, and utterly unempathetic species. When resources dwindled, they didn't develop sustainable technologies as some pathetic, peace-loving species might have. They built ships, big ones, bristling with guns. Their first interstellar conquest occurred when Grand Admiral Hicks, Krax's great-grandfather, discovered the peaceful Vexillians in a neighboring system. The Vexillians possessed art, philosophy, and precisely 0 warships. The invasion lasted approximately 6 hours. And that, as every Crossel hatchling learned in their education pods, is why you never invest your research points in poetry when you could be developing plasma cannons. The pattern repeated itself across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. The hegemony would locate a new civilization, assess its military capabilities, then steamroll it with overwhelming force. Some species surrendered immediately, these became servitor races, like Commander Vex people. Others fought back, these became cautionary tales in the hegemony historical archives. By the time Krax assumed command of the expansion fleet, the hegemony controlled over 6,000 star systems and subjugated 47 sentient species. The conquest machine was well-oiled, efficient, and boring as hell for a Crossel with Krax's ambitions. "Sir," reviewing the first contact log, Lieutenant Grail announced, interrupting Krax's reminiscing. "Earth was actually discovered by a mining survey vessel 3 cycles ago. The captain flagged it as resource-rich but inhabited by primitive sentients. Standard protocol would have scheduled an invasion within 2 cycles, but..." "But what, Lieutenant?" Krax's frills flared with irritation. He hated schedule delays. The survey vessel reported unusual readings. Their communications seemed primitive, but their computer architecture showed unexpected complexity. The captain recommended additional observation. Krax rolled all 6 eyes simultaneously, a gesture of supreme contempt in Crossel culture. "Observation? Ha! Some captains are so timid. If we observed every backwater dirtball with a few interesting anomalies, we'd never get anywhere." Commander Vex cleared his throat, or whatever passed for a throat in his species' bizarre anatomy. "There was one other note, sir. The observation drones detected nuclear detonations on the planet's surface. The humans were using these weapons against each other." This caught Krax's attention. His mandibles clicked rapidly, the Crossel equivalent of raising an eyebrow. Against each other? Not against an external threat? How perfectly delicious. They're already softening themselves up for us. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Everyone knew what happened when Krax got excited about a conquest. "Update invasion protocols," Krax announced, his voice dropping to a dangerous purr. "We'll begin with a show of force over their largest population centers. Let's see if these self-destructive primates have the sense to surrender immediately. If not..." He trailed off, all 4 hands making a crushing motion. "If not, we give them the full Crossel welcome package." Krax had overseen hundreds of first contacts throughout his illustrious career. They typically followed a predictable pattern: shock, denial, terror, and then his personal favorite, abject surrender. The humans, however, were proving to be entertainingly unpredictable. "They're doing what?" Krax thundered, his massive form rising from the command throne as Lieutenant Grail's report came in. "Broadcasting welcome messages, sir. In 274 different languages and mathematical sequences. They're inviting us to land and engage in cultural exchange." Grail's tendrils were practically tied in knots with confusion. Krax stared blankly before erupting into thunderous laughter that echoed throughout the bridge. "Oh, that is precious. They think we're here for a cultural exchange? Should we exchange some high-velocity plasma rounds with their population centers? Would that qualify?" Commander Vex approached cautiously. "Sir, our intelligence division has been monitoring their communications since our vessels entered their system. There appears to be significant disagreement among their governments. Some are advocating peaceful contact, while others are preparing for conflict." "Preparing for conflict with us?" Krax's mandibles clacked together rapidly. "With what? Pointy sticks? Chemical propellant weapons? Oh, wait, I forgot, they have their precious nuclear missiles." He mockingly wiggled his upper appendages as if those could penetrate their basic shields. Lieutenant Grail's console pinged. "Sir, the humans have launched several spacecraft, small vessels, minimal armament. They appear to be observation craft." "Shoot one down," Krax said casually, examining his claws. "Just one. Let's see how they react." The order was relayed. Moments later, a brief flash appeared on the tactical display as a human spacecraft disintegrated under precision fire from one of the escort vessels. "Response?" Krax inquired, settling back into his throne. "Immediate cessation of all welcome messages," Vex reported, his metallic skin dimming slightly. Their military communications have increased by 3,000%.
They're mobilizing. Mobilizing? Krax slapped his armrest, genuine amusement in his voice. How adorable. They think they can fight. Activate communications on speaker. Let's hear what these little mammals have to say about their first taste of hegemony hospitality.
The bridge speakers crackled with dozens of overlapping human voices, their strange languages translated in real time by the ship's AI.
Unprovoked attack. Peaceful mission. Declaration of war. God help us all.
Listen to them panic, Krax chuckled. They truly believed we came all this way for conversation. Commander, prepare the intimidation formation over their largest continental mass.
Let's give them the full display, atmospheric entry burns, sonic booms, the works.
I want these humans wetting themselves before we even fire the first ground shot. As the massive ships began their descent toward Earth's atmosphere, Krax leaned forward expectantly. This was the part he loved best, when a species finally comprehended the hopelessness of their situation, when they realized resistance wasn't just futile, it was laughable. Oh, and Vex, begin composing the standard terms of surrender. I doubt we'll need anything beyond the template for primitive species, resource extraction rights, population control measures, the usual. Little did Krax know, but standard templates would prove woefully inadequate for what was coming. The invasion of Earth was supposed to be routine, textbook. Even Krax had personally overseen the tactical simulations, which predicted complete planetary subjugation within 73 standard hours. The humans would witness the hegemony's power, soil their primitive garments, and surrender their world with minimal fuss. That was the plan, anyway. What do you mean they shot down a troop carrier? Krax's voice had risen to a pitch that made several bridge officers wince. His neck frills were fully extended, a sign of extreme agitation among the Crossel.
Lieutenant Grail's tendrils twisted anxiously as she delivered the report. Confirmed, sir. Troop carrier ZX-349 was destroyed during atmospheric entry over the region they call North America.
Preliminary analysis suggests they used some kind of kinetic energy weapon.
Impossible. Krax slammed all four fists onto his command console, cracking its surface. Their technology is pre-spacefaring.
They couldn't possibly have weapons capable of penetrating our shields. Commander Vex stepped forward, his metallic skin reflecting the red alert lights now flashing throughout the bridge. Sir, it appears they've been concealing things, or our initial scans may have been incomplete.
Krax's 6 eyes narrowed dangerously. Explain.
The humans have concealed military installations underground, underwater, and within mountain ranges. They've masked their energy signatures and communications networks, and they appear to have developed directed energy weapons we didn't detect during our survey. A thunderous explosion rocked the ship, sending several crew members tumbling from their stations.
The lights flickered momentarily. What was that? Krax bellowed, his massive frame looming over the tactical officer.
Direct hit, sir. The humans have launched multiple missiles from submersible vessels in their oceans. 5 of our support ships have sustained damage.
Krax couldn't believe what he was hearing.
This simply did not happen to hegemony invasion forces.
Not against Category 2 species. Not against any species. Return fire. Full orbital bombardment.
Target their missile launch sites.
The viewscreen showed dazzling energy beams lancing down from the hegemony fleet, scorching Earth's surface. Satisfying explosions bloomed across coastlines and oceans.
That should teach them, Krax began but was interrupted by another violent impact that sent him staggering. Sir, the humans are using their own satellites as weapons.
They're deorbiting them directly into our formation.
Outside the viewport, Krax watched in disbelief as one of his destroyer-class vessels spiraled down toward Earth's atmosphere, trailing debris and atmosphere. A primitive human satellite, little more than metal and solar panels, had somehow managed to strike its propulsion system at precisely the right angle.
This is ridiculous. Krax sputtered. They're using space junk against us. Vex, status of ground forces? Vex's normally smooth voice crackled with static. Ground forces are encountering unexpected resistance, sir. The humans are using guerrilla tactics, asymmetrical warfare.
And sir, they appear to know our standard invasion protocols.
What? How? Unknown, sir.
But they've been targeting our command units with precision strikes. They're avoiding our main forces and hitting supply lines. They're actually adapting to our tactics in real time.
Another explosion, closer this time.
The bridge lights failed completely before emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Sir, Lieutenant Grail reported, her voice unnaturally calm.
We've lost 23 ships. The humans have activated some kind of global defense network we didn't detect. They're launching counterattacks from all continents simultaneously. Krax struggled to process this information.
It defied everything he knew about conquest, about the natural order of the galaxy, about the proper way primitives should behave when faced with superior technology.
We need to regroup, he finally admitted, the words tasting like poison.
Order all remaining ships to fall back to the outer system.
Recall ground forces where possible.
As the inevitable victory limped away from Earth's orbit, Krax stared at the viewscreen in stunned silence. The blue-green planet now looked different to him, not like a helpless target, but like a nest of stinging insects that had just dealt the mighty Crossel their first significant defeat in 300 cycles.
Sir, Vex ventured cautiously. The High Council will expect an explanation. Krax's mandibles clicked slowly. Tell them we've encountered an anomaly. These humans, they're not what they appeared to be.
And that, Krax realized with growing dread, might be the understatement of his entire military career. The War Council chamber aboard the inevitable Victory had never felt so tense. Krax sat at the head of the obsidian table, his posture rigid, neck frills tightly compressed against his scaled neck. Around him, his top commanders shifted uncomfortably.
Nobody wanted to be the first to speak. Nobody wanted to acknowledge the unthinkable, the hegemony had retreated.
Krax finally broke the silence, his voice dangerously quiet.
Would someone care to explain how a pre-FTL species just handed us our first defeat in 3 centuries? Anyone? No? Well.
Commander Vex stepped forward, data tablet in hand.
Sir, after analyzing the battle data, we've identified several miscalculations in our approach. Do tell, Krax's voice dripped with sarcasm. I'm absolutely dying to hear what went wrong with our foolproof invasion strategy.
The humans were playing possum, sir, offered General Thrag, a hulking castle with battle scars covering most of his exoskeleton.
They deliberately displayed obsolete technology while concealing their true capabilities. It appears they detected our survey vessels years ago and prepared accordingly. Krax's eye stalks twitched with irritation. So you're telling me these mammals outsmarted us? That they saw us coming and decided to lay a trap for the galactic hegemony?
Lieutenant Grail's display projected a hologram of Earth in the center of the table.
Our revised intelligence suggests the humans have been anticipating extraterrestrial contact, hostile or otherwise, for decades. They've developed their technology with planetary defense as a priority. Their entertainment media is filled with scenarios involving alien invasions. They've been rehearsing for this. Rehearsing? Krax thundered. Via entertainment? What kind of species prepares for war through fictional narratives? A paranoid one, Vex said quietly. And apparently a dangerously clever one. Krax slumped back in his chair, all 6 eyes blinking rapidly as he processed this humiliation. The High Council has granted us reinforcements. 300 additional warships will arrive within 2 cycles. We will not make the same mistakes twice. He leaned forward, jabbing a claw at the holographic Earth. New invasion protocols. We bypass their orbital defenses entirely. No more atmospheric intimidation displays.
We strike from maximum range with our heaviest weapons.
Simultaneous bombardment of all population centers.
No survivors, no resistance, no mercy. The commanders exchanged nervous glances.
This wasn't standard hegemony practice.
The Crossel preferred to preserve infrastructure and labor forces.
Sir, Vex ventured. What about resource extraction? The Council expects. The Council will get their resources. Krax roared. After we've reduced every human settlement to ashes. These creatures have humiliated me. They will pay with extinction.
As the meeting adjourned, no one noticed the small anomaly in the ship's communication system, a tiny data stream flowing outward, carrying the complete details of the hegemony's new battle plans directly to Earth. 2 cycles later, the reinforced hegemony fleet hung at the edge of the Sol system like a storm cloud of gleaming metal. 400 warships, including 3 planet crackers, vessels normally reserved for rebellious colonies, not primitive first contacts. This time, there would be no mistakes. This time, Earth would burn. All ships report ready, Grand Admiral, Commander Vex announced, his metallic skin reflecting the tactical displays surrounding the command center. The humans appear to have expanded their orbital defense network, but our new approach vector should bypass 87% of their capabilities. Krax nodded, his massive form ensconced in full battle armor. This was no longer about conquest or resources. This was about pride, colossal pride. His pride. Launch the infiltration drones first, he ordered. I want their communication networks disabled before the main assault begins. Then deploy the solar disruptors. Let's see how these mammals fight in the dark. The bridge crew executed his commands with practiced efficiency. On the main view screen, thousands of tiny drones streaked toward Earth, barely visible against the blackness of space. Behind them came the solar disruptors, massive, umbrella-like structures designed to position themselves between Earth and its sun, creating artificial eclipses over key strategic regions. Drones approaching Earth orbit in 3, 2, 1. Lieutenant Grail counted down, her tendrils vibrating with anticipation. Then something happened that defied all hegemony tactical projections. The space around Earth rippled. There was no other word for it, as if reality itself was being folded by unseen hands. What's happening? Krax demanded, leaning forward so sharply that his armor plates scraped against each other. Before anyone could answer, every single infiltration drone simultaneously exploded in a dazzling display that briefly outshone the sun itself. Explain. Krax roared. Unknown energy field, sir. Vex reported, his voice rising with alarm. The humans have deployed some kind of spacetime distortion technology. Our drones were compressed into singularities. Singularities? That's impossible. No Category 2 species has ever developed gravitational manipulation technology. Another officer interrupted, panic evident in her multi-toned voice. Sir, the humans are launching something. Thousands of objects rising from their planet's surface. The tactical display updated, showing swarms of small craft emerging from Earth, from oceans, from mountains, from what had appeared to be uninhabited deserts and forests. They moved with impossible speed, forming intricate formations that constantly shifted and rearranged. They can't hurt us, Krax insisted, though his mandibles twitched nervously. Our shields. He never finished the sentence. The human swarm divided, splitting into precise groups that targeted individual hegemony vessels. What happened next defied explanation. Wherever the human craft touched hegemony shields, the energy barriers simply vanished, not overwhelmed, not penetrated, just gone, as if they'd never existed. They've developed shield negation technology. Vex shouted over the cacophony of alarms now blaring throughout the bridge. Impossible. Even we don't have. All ships, open fire. Krax bellowed, panic rising in his throat like bile. Full power to weapons systems. Destroy them all. The hegemony fleet unleashed its awesome firepower, filling space with dazzling energy beams and plasma torpedoes. It should have been enough to vaporize Earth's entire orbital defense system. Instead, the humans dodged. Their small craft moved with a precision that suggested either impossibly advanced AI or pilots with reflexes no organic being should possess. And then they struck back. Human weapons found their targets with unerring accuracy, bypassing armor as easily as they had shields. Hegemony ships began to explode one after another, like festive fireworks against the backdrop of space.
"We've lost the relentless conquest," reported a communications officer. "The glorious subjugation is going dark. The eternal dominion is." Krax watched in horror as his mighty fleet, the pride of the hegemony, disintegrated before his 6 eyes, ship after ship turning into expanding clouds of superheated gas and debris in less than 20 Earth minutes. Half his fleet had been reduced to scrap. "Order a full retreat," Krax whispered, his voice hollow with disbelief. "Emergency FTL jumps. Any coordinates, just away from here."
As the inevitable victory shuddered, preparing for faster-than-light escape, Krax noticed something on the long-range scanners, something that turned his blood to ice.
Ships. Thousands upon thousands of ships emerging from behind Earth's moon.
Human ships, a hidden armada that made his fleet look like a handful of toys, and they were heading straight for them. The inevitable victory never made it to hyperspace. Just as its FTL drives began to charge, a pinpoint beam of coherent energy, thinner than a crosshair but carrying the power of a small star, sliced through the engine compartment with surgical precision. The mighty flagship drifted powerless as the rest of the retreating hegemony vessels vanished into FTL, those lucky enough to escape, anyway.
Emergency power. "Get me emergency power now!"
Krax bellowed, his massive form illuminated only by the emergency lighting and the ominous glow of approaching human vessels visible through the viewport.
"Sir, we're being hailed," Lieutenant Grail reported, her voice uncharacteristically small. "By the humans, by the humans." "Ignore it." Krax spat. "Weapon status?" Commander Vex shook his head. "Offline, sir. Life support functioning at minimal capacity. Basically, we're dead in space." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Krax, conqueror of 1,000 worlds, reduced to a helpless observer as his nemesis approached. "Sir," Grail insisted. "They continue to hail us. They're broadcasting on all hegemony frequencies. I think you should hear this."
Before Krax could object, she activated the comm system. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect Crossel with flawless inflection and accent.
"Attention hegemony vessel. This is Fleet Admiral Elena Takahashi of the Earth Defense Force. Your ship has been disabled. Your fleet has been scattered. You are alone."
The voice paused, letting the words sink in. Then it continued, somehow managing to sound both professional and amused at the same time. "Perhaps you're wondering how a primitive species like ours could accomplish this.
Let me satisfy your curiosity, since I doubt your hegemony intelligence reports were comprehensive."
On the main view screen, images appeared, images that shattered everything Krax thought he knew about humanity: underground cities that dwarfed anything on Krylia Prime, massive shipyards hidden within asteroids, quantum computers that made hegemony technology look like abacuses.
"You see, Grand Admiral Krax," the human continued, "we've known about your hegemony for quite some time. Your little survey ships weren't as stealthy as you believed. We've been studying you, learning your weaknesses, preparing."
The images shifted to show vast human fleets emerging from hidden bases throughout their solar system, not hundreds of ships, thousands, perhaps tens of thousands.
While your hegemony was busy conquering easy targets, humanity was preparing for threats exactly like you. We developed our technology in secret.
We built our defenses in silence.